Initially, when I signed up for this class, I was expecting Ireland to be full of redheads, drunks, and farmers with sheep. I'm glad to say that throughout the duration of our trip, I not only saw past these stereotypes, but also learned about myself as well as the beautiful country and history of Ireland. Throughout the semester, we talked about a lot of aspects of Ireland during class, which was very helpful, but nothing could have prepared me for the amazing experience of actually going to Dublin. As we departed from the airport, beautiful daffodils lined the sides of the roads. One of my favorite parts of the trip was going to the Hill of Tara, Trim Castle, Newgrange, and Louth. The countryside of Ireland is absolutely breathtaking, and I loved being out in nature. The forests and all the green vegetation seemed magical. A historical tour through the castle really added to this feeling of awe and wonder as we got to explore its mossy halls and learn the medieval history of Trim Castle. We also had the privilege of a tour from our amazing guide Keith at the Hill of Tara, where we learned how the kings of old were inaugurated and about the deep history of the sacred area. This place was so special, in fact, that it was once thought to be the hiding place of the Ark of the Covenant. The megalithic man-made hills of Newgrange and Louth were older than Stonehenge, and very sacred ritualistic places. It was interesting to learn how Louth became reused many times throughout different generations for not only burials, but housing and secret tunnels for safety. I absolutely adored learning about the history of Ireland when going to all the different museums and tour. The bog bodies in the National Museum were particularly interesting because they were so well preserved that you could still see the people's bright red hair. So I really enjoyed learning about the Viking history in Ireland and more about my heritage. We also learned quite a bit about the Irish Revolution of the 1920s and how they won their independence from Britain. Before this trip, I had no idea that Ireland was even a British colony, so it was interesting to learn more about the atrocities of colonization around the world. At Trinity College, we got to see the Book of Kells, a very old and very amazing book containing super tiny and detailed artworks as well as religious texts. I spent an ungodly amount of money in that gift shop, but it was worth every penny. We had the privilege of meeting with a government official who focuses primarily on fostering creativity in the country, and she taught us a lot about how seriously they take their education system and how creativity is extremely encouraged. A great example of this is the fact that artists within the country are paid yearly salaries no matter how much art they produce. So artists are capable of having livable wages and the resources to enrich their imaginations. We also visited Europe's Google headquarters in Dublin, where we were given an amazing tour of the building and learned how the company operates. I found it interesting that employees will only work 4 days a week and often have the option of working from home if they wish. Rather than people having boring office cubicles, each floor has different themes and work areas that foster creativity. Additionally, they provide many amenities to promote a high quality of life for their workers. On top of all these amazing aspects of Irish living and history, the architecture was absolutely stunning. The old Georgian and Victorian style buildings were truly a sight to behold. Nowadays, these houses are used as office spaces for businesses, but their integrity and original styles remain intact. All in all, this experience in Ireland was very fun and honestly life-changing. I learned a lot about history and how the world works in areas outside of America. It was very beneficial for me to see the other sides of all the stories we hear growing up and explore a culture other than my own. I learned that drinking shouldn't be about getting drunk, but rather enjoying moments with your friends and having it as a casual addition to social situations. We made many friends in the pubs, and whether that's a good or bad thing, I still don't know, but it was really cool to chat with the locals and learn about how the rest of the world sees America. This trip brought to light a lot of changes I wish America would make, such as more attention to being carbon neutral and using less plastic to save the environment. It also made me want to try more study abroad classes.